I'm thirsty. Refreshing.
I got the titties, she got the ass together. Bad bitches. Public service announcement that my DMs are a safe place for your coming videos with the sound turned on.
Because it's iconic. And I love to do iconic shit.
The ideal number of men to have in your rotation.
No, but this. I have a client who's in Europe and she does something called rotational dating. She'll date around 20 guys all at the same time. She won't sleep with any of them. No kissing, no nothing. She'll wear the exact same outfit on all of the dates and go on similar dates. And she said it's really fascinating because you'll start to realize that you are able to easily cut people off the list who are behaving badly, not calling back, not showing up in the right way that you want them to. But when you're only dating one person, you're constantly giving them this investment and the benefit of the doubt. And so typically you end up with the wrong person. She said, out of dating the 20, it is so clear that some people are like front runners of compatibility. And I find it so interesting.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Go ahead and go and call me at 3:04 on like a live. That's so disrespectful.
Yeah, but is it true?
No.
Well, what is a 304?
Whoa, hold on. Hey, what?
Y'all have a nice night. We already said it, right? We already said it's a whore. We already said it's a bop. We already said it's a lame. Y'all have a nice night.
You want to just take it? Wait. Can you at least?
What do you mean?
Hold on. Wait, can you explain the Pisces princess thing in the Instagram bio?
I'm a Pisces. What do you mean?
No, but you call yourself a princess.
I am a princess. I just don't tolerate disrespect. I don't.
But when you say Pisces princess, what does that mean?
Gotcha, bitch.
Here are comments. What is a 304? These men nothing better to do what a sad life and they call themselves men. Women line up to go on the show, so what does that say about them? It's not like the premise of the show is unknown to them. Here's how it's done, gentlemen. Respect is something that has to be earned, and actions have consequences. In today's world, it's easy for some people to focus on short-term gains without considering the long-term impacts on their reputations and relationships. We're in a time when some behaviors don't carry the same social accountability as they once did. And that shift has led to fewer consequences for actions that might affect others or society as a whole. Back in the day, personal responsibility and reputation were highly valued, and communities would hold each other accountable. Today, as we navigate modern values, maybe it's time to have honest conversations about responsibility, self-respect, and the value we place on our choices. After all, building a strong society means encouraging everyone to understand that actions, no matter how small, leave an impact.
Twin baby boys that have different fathers. How is that possible? Mia Washington met the love of her life. His name is James. Mia found herself getting bored with James. James started getting a little goofy, and she just wasn't attracted to him anymore. And she started to cheat on James. James had no idea Mia was cheating. A few months go by, and Mia finds out she's pregnant. Her and James are so excited to learn that they're expecting twin boys. Mia stayed hopeful that James would be the father of her twin boys, and she kept her affair a secret throughout her entire pregnancy. Mia was looking at the twins as they aged, and she realized they didn't look the same. They had completely different facial features. Mia saw how much James loved these baby boys, and she decided the best thing to do would be to come clean about her affair because she didn't think that he was the father of the babies. James was heartbroken, and he wanted to take a DNA test. They were shocked to see that James was the father of one of these babies. How is it even possible for Mia to get pregnant with twins by two different dads? It's a rare occurrence when it happens with humans, but it happens with cats and dogs all the time. Excuse me while I slaughter this pronunciation. This occurrence is called superfecundation. When Mia was ovulating, she released 2 eggs. James was able to fertilize egg A, and the other guy was able to fertilize egg B. That resulted in a twin-like pregnancy where each baby was fathered by a different man. Mia didn't think that James was going to stick around. James decided to stay around. He forgave Mia for the affair, and he raised the other baby that wasn't his as his own. Mia was so shocked by this situation that the family decided to reach out to the local news. She wanted to share her story and make sure that other women didn't do the same thing as her. Mia advises that all of the women out there think before they have an affair. You could end up with babies that are born 8 minutes apart that have 2 different fathers. Just don't cheat because it's not worth it.
He was never truly the love of her life if she was willing to cheat on him and have another man's child. In this case, she met someone willing to accept her actions, even raising another man's child as his own, fully aware of the situation. What's even more surprising is her audacity to play the victim, as if this was some kind of accidental situation. She made these choices purposefully, yet still presented herself as though she was somehow wronged. She only confessed to him after he had developed a strong emotional bond with the children, making the timing of her reveal more suspicious. It seems calculated, as if she waited until the hardest part of parenting was over before admitting the truth. It's disheartening to see men willing to overlook this kind of deception, often at the cost of their self-respect. And while some men might accept this type of treatment, it doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. A man's dignity and self-worth are too valuable to be traded away in relationships that aren't built on honesty and respect.
You love me?
Mm-hmm.
How much?
So much.
How much?
So... Bro. No. Why are you recording me?
It's just for Snapchat.
Is it...
It is, I promise. No one's gonna see it except for us.
Will my boys see that? Come on, Ash.
I can't post it on my story.
No.
Why?
No.
This is one of the reasons romance feels like it's disappearing. It's hard to be vulnerable or affectionate when you're worried that your private moments might be recorded for social media clout without your consent. When likes, shares, and comments become more important than respecting the privacy of a relationship, it's bound to create distance. A guy in this situation would naturally start to wonder if he can truly trust her with intimate moments, or if he'll always have to look over his shoulder. It's understandable why some people choose to avoid dating someone who's highly active on social media. When everything is shared online, it can feel like there's no space left for the real relationship to grow, and privacy is sacrificed. For many, this lack of privacy and focus on social media can be a red flag that makes it hard to fully invest in the connection.
Values and ideas of
The modern day men's liberation movement is gaslighting.
Gaslighting. Yet another very popular, yet often misused buzzword.
The men's liberation movement hinges on the crux that men have such tough standards put on them by society.
That's because they do.
In that original video, he reads a book about men's liberation that was from the 1960s that talked about how men unalive themselves because the standards were so high for them. Well, since the 1960s, male suicide rates have only gone up, but the standards for what men are supposed to do since the 1960s have literally crashed and burned.
Have they? How so?
Reminder, 1 in 4 American children are completely fatherless. The men have completely abandoned those children. I'm talking financially, emotionally.
And I suppose that's entirely the men's fault, is it?
But Annie, we men still have to work. This comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. I wish just one man who preached about men's liberation would just read the data around you.
Is anyone else wondering when the gaslighting part is going to somehow come into the conversation?
The norm in America is that families, both spouses, work. That is very much the American norm. Oh, and on top of the women working and paying the bills, they also are doing the overwhelming majority of childcare, housework, the cooking, the cleaning, the emotional labor.
Emotional labor. Well, that's different.
So if I hear one more man in this men's liberation movement talking about the mental health of men because, oh, we're working so hard.
No worries there, because now one is going to hear from a woman.
What are you talking about?
Is one asking that question because one is failing to understand what they're talking about, or because one is just trying to downplay it?
In 2023, it is women who are expected by society to do everything.
Everything, huh? Seems like that goalpost was just moved.
Have a full-time job, to be pregnant and push out a baby and go back to work. 12 weeks later, working full-time, pumping every 2 hours, paying half those bills, being a hands-on mom, cooking and cleaning for her family. Oh, and fucking her husband still. But please, men's liberation movement, tell me how hard it is to go to work and pay half of those bills and how hard it is for you men. This is a reminder that you live in a world of your own creation. If you want to believe that men are just, oh, it's so hard on them, you're gonna believe that if you decided to believe that.
Just like one seems to believe that women are expected to do everything, right?
Why believe that when there's so much data out there that would show you, damn, men actually aren't even doing the bare minimum nowadays?
I think we're going to need to hear it from a subject matter expert like oneself. What exactly is the bare minimum that men are expected to do? That hasn't been mentioned yet.
They're abandoning their kids. America is #1 in single mother households.
I know that one doesn't really want to hear this, but those single mother households do have something in part to do with the choices that some of those women make.
American men are a joke.
No, they are not the joke here.
But we have intelligent men like this man who's in medical school, who just drones on and on about the men's liberation movement and how hard it is on men nowadays, and oh, the mental health of men because they're expected to do so much. What are you talking about?
One could have actually figured out what they were talking about if one had actually been paying attention and listened, instead of trying to spend this entire time disproving and downplaying the issues that men actually have to face every day.
You are are living in a world that you have created. You are reading books from the 1960s. We don't live in that world anymore, buddy. From this point on, I am no longer ever going to use the term men's liberation movement. I'm going to call it the men's gaslighting movement. That is what it is, and that is what I'm going to call it.
Interesting choice. However, the ironic part is that one didn't actually point out anything that men are doing to gaslight anyone. However, that entire video was actually a demonstration on what gaslighting really looks like.
The feminist in the orange shirt claims men don't work hard, but here's a question for her who mines the rare minerals needed to make her phone so she can record herself mocking men's mental health. Who's more likely to have shelter if they get evicted? For every 1,000 women's shelters, there's only one for men. Or, who can earn 6 figures just by creating content online? Women in the influencer world can succeed financially without taking on jobs that require physical labor or technical skill, unlike the men building machinery parts or constructing homes. Men traditionally handle household and outdoor work, often the more labor-intensive tasks like mowing the lawn, fixing windows, and handling repairs. In contrast, some career-focused women now argue that housework should be split equally with their partner to avoid traditional motherly or wife duties. And yet, society still treats men and women differently when it comes to accountability. A mother behind on her responsibilities might receive support or welfare, while a father in the same situation often faces jail time, fines, or the loss of his professional licenses. Ironically, if an unemployed bad boy isn't committed to a woman and moves on, some feminists demand that good men step in as stepfathers and take on all responsibilities, including financial support. Society still expects men to be providers, regardless of their circumstances, and in this double standard, only one side of the story is often told. It's time to ask ourselves, is this really equality? Here are comments: the best thing I did for my mental health is remaining single, being the best version of myself for my daughter. The modern men's movement is gaslighting proceeds to gaslight men about their plight. Women like her are the reason why the men's liberation movement exists.
The house is sold. My home is not my home anymore. We've also reached our final settlement agreement for the divorce. All in one day. This is the part in the book where the main character finally sees those circles closing, closing the loops. But in all the books I've read, usually these moments are joyful. I don't feel any of that. 6 months ago today, I had no idea my world was about to change. I wish I could say that all okay now. All I can do is hope that another 6 months feels good. And I'll be able to look back and know that the last 6 months were really hard, but were really necessary. And that I did the right thing. I did all the right things. I hope it will be worth it, and I will look back and be like, damn, that was a main character right then. You just didn't feel like it. Main character energy.
Here are comments: I remember those feelings, but it definitely gets better. Even if it doesn't now, you will be happy again. Divorce is the hardest thing I have dealt with. It does get better. Take the time to heal, no matter how long. Here's yet another case of a modern woman ending her marriage to embrace the single life again, thinking the grass is greener on the other side. Many treat this hoe phase as a kind of hero's journey, like she's setting out to conquer some mythical quest. But if you look closer, it's mostly coping. She's 142 days post-divorce, still crying, and doesn't look any happier. Divorce often comes with major financial consequences for both sides here. She's received half his net worth and forced the sale of his home. But for what? She may be realizing that any high-value man she's interested in may see her more as a temporary fling than a long-term partner. Given the younger options available to him, the average guy will likely see her past decisions as a cautionary tale. Why commit to someone who couldn't honor her own marriage vows? When she stood at the altar and said "I do" in front of her family and friends, she made a public promise to her partner and everyone supporting her. Choosing to end that commitment, especially if it was on shaky grounds, creates hesitation for anyone looking for a lasting relationship. I remember it was like a death had happened. I am going through the same. It hit me after the divorce. My therapist said it's because I was in survival mode. Now I'm able to process what happened.